And we are live. It's 10:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the evening of this Thursday, December 28th, year 2023. Trying to get that sound dialed in appropriately. My name is Mark Kulak, Houstonic Now Live. And obviously I have to speak softly because it's late at night and people are sleeping. Bit of a heavy show tonight. I wasn't really sure what I was going to be able to cover. Just a lot of stressful things going on, outside of the research right now. And, but that aside, there's just, unfortunately, had a nice streak of 17 consecutive days having streamed, but it doesn't look as though I wasn't able to continue that. And now I'm just not sure. There's just so many pieces to finish up, and I have a lot of year-end stuff to do this week and next week. So a question came up in my mind of, because I've spoken a lot recently about the drug overdose, the fatal drug overdose epidemic within the United States, of what has been happening during the year 2023. Well, and I don't have a chat window open. I'm sorry again. I'm really bad lately. I'm just trying to focus on getting the content out there. And I have to admit, I haven't known. This is one of those unfortunate things when you are keyed into this type of data and you have a lot of anecdotal data. That means you're really in the thick of it. And being in the thick of this was long and it was not fun. But during the years 20 and 21, we knew, my wife and I knew the severity of the drug overdose epidemic went from maximum to even higher. There was just a lot from sober living facilities that we had known. There were many people succumbing. I mean, it was amazing. The turnover just through fatalities was, I don't even know what to say. And, ultimately that included our son last year. So once that has happened, and then with all the other family changes, it's just anecdotal data that I just haven't had as much access to. I knew it was still bad. The year 2022 in total was the second worst year ever. And if you go to the numbers that I have archived on a Substack that I did, it was 109,000 total, 109,680 for the year 2022, but 109,179 for the year 2021. Actually, I thought those numbers were different. Interesting. But that would mean that, and actually 2022 was a little bit higher. I thought, I'm mixing some numbers up in my head, but they weren't really off by that much versus what's shown here on the screen and what's in the Substack article. So we know it's still ongoing. And we know that it's ongoing for a multitude of reasons. One, it's just how bankrupt the spirit is within the United States right now. And the level of laced drugs on the street is still very high. And there's probably 50 other bullet points to add to it, but the one I'd like to draw attention to is the fact that we can't talk about it still. Or even if we can, it doesn't get referenced. The United States has about 3 million people a year dying of all causes total. Old age, accidents, heart attacks, cancers in total, give or take. which would mean that this number, this total of 310,659 over the course of a 3-year period, is approximately 3% of all deaths in the United States of America. All of them were drug overdoses during that 3-year period, 2020, 21, and 22. That's close to 1 in 30 of all deaths is someone probably under the age of 45 of a drug overdose. That's a catastrophic level, no matter how you look at it. And as going back to the year 2000, the average was around 25,000 or so a year. You could say that the national average, if you leveled it out between the years 2000 and 2019, is 40,000 a year. Meaning that in 1 year, 91,800, and that's the year 2020, could be seen as many as 50,000 excess deaths above and beyond the baseline number of drug overdoses in just 1 year. Hence, over a 3-year period, you could say between 110,000 up to 160,000 deaths were excess deaths just of drug overdoses. I didn't say the total number of drug overdose deaths. I said compared to a baseline. And we're not supposed to talk about this because we're supposed to talk about gain of function and lab leaks and caves and wet markets. And we should be forced to believe and repeat lies about weapons of mass destruction and the end of civilization if we don't submit to the scientists, etc., etc. But this epidemic in and of itself was a huge driver, was the driver, actually, of reduced life expectancy. And now, while it's nice we can talk about vaccine injuries, or at least it's nice that we have the right to mention them, given the fact that they're happening, we still can't say that the base perception of an excess number of people dying was due in part to this. So I've actually wondered in the back of my head, like, well, maybe now that this COVID-19 has happened, maybe the necessary optics were already created to usher in that new era of medicine, to welcome in gene therapy, one way or the other, to trial multiple methods of transfection to see which horse is going to win that race. And maybe the number of deaths will go down. Maybe not. Maybe there's just such reckless abandon and there's just no desire at all to change this. And for the record, I'm not even a fan of the war on drugs. I'm really not. I would just like it to be part of the messaging. Here are things which lead to increased incidences of addiction. Here's what doctors can do with prescriptions. Here's how to, if someone needs to use pain meds long term, here's things which they can do to reduce the chances of getting addicted. Messaging for parents, things to tell their children before they start going out in the world. I mean, there's just a lot of common sense. In addition to, of course, improved confidence in our young, stronger families, etc. All of that plays a part. Okay, we're not looking to say, oh, we just need to start finding the people selling the drugs on the street corners are just addicts themselves. All right, they're not the enemy here. So just want to be clear about that, okay? I just want it to get attention. And it can't get attention because people are already tapped out. They're tapped out with their gain of function in the viruses. And just one more book after another about gain of function viruses. And you're just told, Mark, just shut up until we get this gain of function lab virus thing figured out. You'll get your time. Maybe in another few months or 5 or 20 years, we can finally stop talking about the gain of function viruses. And then maybe this can get the attention, which will lead to, improved messaging, policy, and then people taking it very seriously, more seriously than they need to. But as it turns out, and again, I have to take the government data for what it is, but the National Vital Statistics System, National Center for Health Statistics within the United States, which is part of the CDC, their projections show that in the year that so far, the line with the little circles is predicted and reported. Now, reported is always lagging by 3 months. In Massachusetts, usually it takes, I don't know what the number, but I'm going to guess between 2 to 4 months for everything to be reported properly, to understand exactly how many people succumb to a fatal drug overdose. And this would suggest that while baseline is somewhere down here, it's like the beginning of my box, we are still going to be 150% at least over a baseline. And in fact, we might actually have broken the record of last year. This would mean that over the course of a 4-year period, the United States may have had, if these projections are right, 430,000 fatal drug overdose deaths. 425 to 400, maybe 425. We're looking at closing in now on 500,000, most of which under the age 45. I'm confident in my position that if the airways weren't being saturated with nonstop talk about super antigens and spike proteins and lab leaks and gain of function and all this other stuff, worst case scenario, John Cullen's nonsense about it. John Cullen is basically Anthony Fauci in sunglasses. Let's just admit it. He basically signs off on all of Anthony Fauci's research that you can dig up a frozen corpse in Alaska and bring back a flu that never really happened. But whatever. And all of Anthony Fauci's worst case 1918 flu numbers. Either way, if that didn't dominate the airwaves, if we were able to talk about this would have been less of a severe. Not only that, but if we were able to talk about this and provide context, many people wouldn't have made decisions regarding medical interventions that have led to physical damages, injuries, and potentially deaths. So I don't really have a whole lot to add in this particular video other than to make you aware that according to their projections and what's been reported, and what's been reported in early 2023 is accurate. Yeah, they're predicting 112. It will be the all-time record again. Put it in context, this is about how many people supposedly died in all of the atomic bombs every year now, right? I mean, and what? It can't even get a 5-minute news segment? Anyways, I'll keep you guys updated on this. Just thought I'd make you aware. And it's a good thing it's late and good thing it's tired, and it's a good thing I'm able to keep my cool, because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things I want to say right now. There's a lot of things I want to say. Must forgive. All right. That's it, everyone. Thank you. Take care. God bless.